Imperial Beach Mayor Paloma Aguirre will be the new District 1 Supervisor, representing 650,000 San Diegans. Today, her opponent, Republican Chula Vista Mayor John McCann, conceded the election. With Mayor Aguirre's win, the board will now lean Democrat. And joining us now to talk about her win and what's to come is now Supervisor-elect Paloma Aguirre. Thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations.
Thank you.
650,000 people, big new title. What's your first course of action when you're sworn in?
Well, obviously the sewage crisis is a huge priority for District 1 because of the tens of thousands of families that are being affected by the biggest public health emergency in the Western Hemisphere, especially as we enter the summer months when the days become hotter and those hydrogen sulfide gases are emanating to community. That's why we want to make sure that my 5-point sewage plan that has already been approved by the County Board of Supervisors 3-1 is implemented right away.
Does that do that? The fact that it will be 3-2 now, does that mean you can start moving forward? And what's the first step that's going to happen in that plan?
So top priority is removing the toxic hotspot that's located at Saturn Boulevard. The river is flowing, which shouldn't, by the way, but now there's a cascade, a waterfall that is causing turbulence, and that is exacerbating the emissions of toxic gases. So an infrastructure fix could help alleviate that and bring some immediate relief to people in the vicinity, in the close vicinity.
You know, for some people who might not know your history, they might think it's a convenient political tool to use to get elected. But your background, you actually have a master's in, is it biodiversity?
It's biodiversity and conservation from Scripps Institution of Oceanography.
So this is a passion for you, period.
It's a passion for me from a scientific perspective, but most importantly, from the perspective of communities that have been left behind for so long. Like I said, this emergency, the closest thing that's comparable to it is Flint, Michigan. Yeah. And Flint, Michigan only had one pollutant, had lead in the water. This has solvents, chemicals, hydrogen sulfide, parasites, bacteria, viruses that are making their way actually now all the way to La Jolla via the air. So it is unconscionable that kids and elderly and immunocompromised people are breathing this in on a daily basis. We need to make sure that we eliminate it. And
in addition to being a politician and a background in science with this, you have a connection that a lot of San Diegans will appreciate. You're a bodyboarder. You've been in the ocean, played it like competition for all your life.
Yeah.
Like, is that part of what drew you to it as a field of study?
Actually, so the reason why I'm not an Imperial Beach born and raised, but I'm an adopted daughter of Imperial Beach because of the people and its waves. I fell in love with it. Because I'm a bodyboarder, when our beaches used to be open, I used to do competitive bodyboarding up and down the state. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to surf Imperial Beach since September 2021. I continue to surf. I have to go up to Ocean Beach where the waves are a little bit better compared to other areas. But it's a passion of mine, as it is for thousands of people that are unable to go surfing in Imperial Beach now for a long time.
One of the other big issues people talked about is with the County Board of Supervisors is the concept of dipping into reserves, something with the deadlock right now, nothing could be done. What's your view on that, and what would trigger dipping into those reserves?
Well, we're seeing the massive callous cuts coming out of not just the Trump administration, but out of Congress. We saw the Senate just approve the big, beautiful, ugly bill, which cuts $900 billion of Medicaid, SNAP, housing vouchers. It's going to leave a lot of people in the dust. We have at least 140,000 District 1 residents that depend on some form of health care or nutritional program access, and they cannot be left behind. District 1 has been left behind for far too long. So if we are going to tap into our rainy day fund, which by the way, it's very healthy. We have almost $3 billion in reserves. Fiscal analysts recommend 30 to 40% of your budget. We have well excess of that in the hundreds of millions. And if these cuts are gonna impact our most vulnerable residents and families of District 1, if we need to dip into the reserve to cover that coverage, to cover the in-home support services, to make sure that kids don't miss out on nutrition, to make sure that people don't lose their housing, then absolutely we're going to do that.
We're almost out of time. how long can you do that without having to find new sources of revenue, new
We
taxes
can't.
potentially?
We can't do that for a long time. The hope is that we do it long enough to where we can change the majority in Congress so that we can put those programs back and not continue to give tax breaks for the ultra rich.
All right, Supervisor-elect Paloma Aguirre, you getting used to the new title yet?
I am starting to.
All right, when do you get voted, when do you get sworn in?
Sworn in, we believe it might be July 22nd, but I don't have confirmation of it.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
Best
for
of
having
luck.
me.
We appreciate you joining us today to
Thank you.
introduce you to more people who may not have had a chance to get to know you yet.
Well, thank you for having me.
Marcella?